Hi there, my name is Will. Welcome to photographyquestions.com. Today I'm going to run through with you how I like to use selections in conjunction with adjustments to adjust certain areas of your image. And hopefully this should be reasonably quick and succinct. So here we go. Here I have my image, and I've put a black and white adjustment layer across it, and just touching again, I like to do all my adjustments on layers. Using the button down here rather than going to image adjustments and then doing them here, simply because at any stage I can turn this off or delete it or remove it, anything like that. So starting with the different selection tools we have up here, your second one down on your toolbar, you have rectangular marquee tool, elliptical marquee, single row and single column marquees. Now what these do is they select an area of the image for you. As you can see, rectangular marquee is pretty self-explanatory. Just a quick note, if you hold the shift key it will maintain the symmetry of that and give you a square. And with any of these selection tools you can hold shift to add to your selection or alt to remove from your selection. Moving on down to the next one, we've got the elliptical one, which is, again, if you hold shift it will make a circle for you, and releasing that, hold shift again, you can add to that selection, and alt will remove from that selection. So this is good to create different shapes and help you to make quick selections within your image. Moving on down, we've got the next selection tool here. We've got three options here: the Lasso Tool, the Polygonal Lasso Tool, and the Magnetic Lasso Tool. So the Lasso Tool is basically simply a cursor which allows you to draw within your image any particular shape or design that you want. And again, if you hold shift it will allow you to add to your image, and alt to subtract. Control D will deselect your selection, just a handy little hotkey there. The polygonal one, this one is where you click and click and click. So each time you click it will create a straight line to help you with your selection. This one's quite good if you've got say a city skyline or buildings or anything that's got lots of nice straight sharp lines that you want to select. Can make it very quick and easy. And the last one is the Magnetic Lasso Tool. This one here is for when you have areas of high contrast. It can help you make selections quick and easy. Again, with all these I should have mentioned that you have different options up here in your toolbar presets. You can change your ratio, your size, you can feather your selection here. Generally the default ones are pretty useful. I don't tend to change those too much. The only thing I will do is feather them, which I'll touch on shortly. So going back to the magnetic one, if we find an area of reasonably high contrast, what you do is you simply click and then drag down the area of contrast and it will begin to make that selection for you. Now it can run into trouble sometimes, this one, so it can be good to make an initial selection, say like that, and then perhaps change back to the lasso tool, hold shift and then add or remove or do whatever you need to do. Again, a lot of these particular ones are handy if you have a tablet, which I do. Certainly much easier than using a mouse. So how these work in conjunction with our layer adjustments over here, what I like to do is, let's say I want to create a bit of a vignette on this image here. So what I'll do is I'll drag my selection out, and you can click and drag in these to move your selection. Now I have my selection here. what I want to do is go and select an adjustment to make. So we can select any one of these. For this particular image, I will just select curves. And what that's done now is that's added that selection to the layer mask over here. Now you can add layer masks to any layer by going down and clicking this one here. Okay, and what layer masks do is simply to mask out whatever adjustment is being made. So for this one here, for example, my black and white adjustment here, if I go and select my paintbrush and make sure I have black and white selected here, and I start painting with black upon this mask, you'll see that the color will come back into this image. And as you can see on the mask here, it's masking that out with black. So that's how a layer mask works, and it's quite handy. As I did before, I made a selection. I just selected a new adjustment layer, the curves, and it automatically added that mask in, and now I can begin to make adjustments in there. Now as you can see, there's obviously a hard edge there because we didn't feather it. So feathering is generally always a good idea. Now you can change your feather when you make your selection up here, or you can simply right click and go down to feather, and the feather radius I think is a maximum of 250 pixels. You may be able to change that, and then again if we go select our curves, you will now be able to see that there's much more of a feather, so no hard edge there. But as you can see, we're still adjusting the inside of the selection, so we don't want that. So what we need to do is just make sure our layer mask is selected here. So not this side, but this side, make sure you select it, and Control I will simply invert the mask there. And now if we begin to drag that down, you can see that that's now adjusting the outside of that selection. Now another way to make adjustments to your selection is to head over to your channels tab here. If you can't see your channels tab, just go up to window and click on channels there, and it will open that up for you. If we select our little eye here, we can now see our actual selection as it appears on this layer here. So we can then begin to again use our brush and start making adjustments using black and white. So this one is quite handy for really specific edges. Again, if you're doing skyline or something similar, you can really zoom right in and take your brush and adjust, you know, really get in on your edges there and make those adjustments. And as you'll see, if we remove that, that's kept that adjustment within your image. So that's a really good way to actually see what's going on, and it can make it easier to do those minor adjustments. So that is pretty much it, how I like to do different adjustments. It's yeah, it works very well for other aspects of your image as well. So all these different adjustment layers you can use it with for photography purposes. You know, your brightness, contrast, your levels, your curves, your exposure, all those different things you may want to do to a particular part of your image, and it can certainly come in handy. I don't use Photoshop a lot personally anymore since the advent of Lightroom. I find I can do a lot of stuff in there that I don't need to do in Photoshop. But this is certainly handy if you've only got Photoshop or you've only got a photo editing program and you can't afford something else. There are lots of different ways to do all those different adjustments in each program, so this can certainly help. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to see in another video, or something I may not have touched on here that you think would be relevant, leave us a comment beneath, or pop over to photographyquestions.com and pop a question in there. And Photoshop is now also available in a subscription format, so you're paying a monthly subscription for the program, and for a lot of people this can be much more affordable, because I think it's relatively cheap now, and that also means that you have the latest version of Photoshop as well, so you can probably check that out. It's a great tool to have. And that's about it for now. We have an affiliate link on photographyquestions.com on the resources page, so if you do want to look at getting the subscription for Photoshop, pop over there. We've got a link through to where you can get that. And yeah, if you like this video and want to comment, that'd be great. And we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.